Hold on one second, my friends. We'll go what we need to do over here. Let's see. Hold on. Hang on one second, guys. So, maybe we'll do the prayer afterwards. I forgot to. Hold on one second. We'll start with the quick prayer we do every day. So why don't we give me names quickly and let's do the prayer. So we'll start that. Who has any names that we're davening for today?
Tova Chana Batskaya Gitto.
Tova Chana Batskaya Gitto. Any other names?
Yehuda Ben.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go first. I apologize.
No, you go first.
Yoshua Aaron ben Rachel.
Yeshua Aaron ben Rachel.
Thank you.
Yehuda ben Biana.
Yehuda ben Biana.
And Biana ben Bas Bella.
Biana Bas Bella. Okay, any other names we have? No, we're going to get started then. Please, O Lord, who heals all flesh and performs wondrous acts, who blesses our water and our food by your grace, remove all disease from our midst. Please, O Lord, who healed Miriam from the plague of Tarash, which spread like snow upon half her flesh. You responded to your trusted servant with kindness and piety and entreaty. Please, Hashem, heal her now. Please, Hashem, put to stop the plagues from amidst this holy congregation. As you smell the pleasing scent of incense with the entreaty of the righteous priest to center in his hand, as he stands with courage between the dead and the living. Please, O Lord, who redeemed Chizkiah from the sharp sword, when he turned his face to the wall in tears and pleading, have I now received a tradition from the house of my father's father, and never should we hesitate to seek mercy from him. Please, Hashem, you save us from the outbreak of this epidemic known as the coronavirus. In your mercy, you send a complete recovery to all who are afflicted with a serious illness and other illnesses. Please, Hashem, shake the hands of the doctors doing their job. Sacrifice of themselves to engage in this holy work, and the nurses illuminate their quest to discover a suitable cure for we trust. They always place a remedy ahead of the disease, and let us say, Amen.
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 Amen, amen. All right.
Allah Nabi.
It's okay.
Today's class is dedicated by Yehuda. Yehuda, thank you very much for dedicating today's class and making these classes possible. Today's Chumash opens with a great story in dreams. So we keep on learning about dreams. So many people are having dreams. We had Yosef had 2 dreams, and Yaakov had dreams in the ladder. Yosef had and Yosef had 2 dreams, and now Pharaoh himself is going to have 2 dreams, and Hashem is going to share these 2 dreams with Pharaoh with a message, and we see what happens. And it was at the end of 2 full years. Yosef, I believe he's saying, was in jail for 2 full years. And at that time, Pharaoh is standing on the Nile. Pharaoh dreams. He has this dream. And in his dream, where is the background to his dream? He's standing on the Ya'or. So Rashi tells us, what is the Ya'or? The Ya'or, when the Torah uses the term almost always, Ha Ya'or, the famous Ya'or, it's referring to the very famous Nile River in Egypt. And it was so named because Rashi tells us, interesting, how the agriculture there works, is that the rain is not reliable in Egypt, that they don't get a steady rainfall. Therefore, for the farmers, when they want to grow their produce, they need to find another source of water. And what did they do? There was this great Nile River that would rise whenever the high tide would rise. And they created these little rivers throughout the entire land of Egypt, man-made canals, in order to bring the water from high tide of the Nile River into and to irrigate all their fields as it passed throughout Mitzrayim, as it passed throughout Egypt. So the Ya'or, the main Nile River, was a very famous, important river in Egypt in that it filled all the other Nile canals in Egypt in order to water and irrigate the fields around them. So Pharaoh is standing by this famous Nile River, Hayar, the Egyptian Nile River. V'hinim in Hayar, in his dream, and this is all happening in his dream. Verse 2, V'hinim in Hayar, and then all of a sudden he sees in his dream, from the river, Oile Sheva Pares, coming out of the river, 7 cows start exiting and coming in his dream. He sees these 7 cows coming out of the river. And what kind of cows were they? He tells us, Yafais Mara Uvriyais Basar. They were beautiful, robust, gesund, as they say in Yiddish, healthy, shaman, good, healthy cows. And they started pasturing in the marshland next to the river. They start eating. So he sees in his dream 7 fat, good, heavy, good, gesund, healthy cows come out of the river, and they start eating the marshland that's around this Nile River. And then the next part in his dream, verse 3, 7 other cows go up after them, Mina Yor, from the river. But these were very different, diametrically opposed to the kind of cows that had come out previously in his dream. Rois Mara, Vidakais Basar, they were very ugly, they were ugly appearance. And they had lean flesh. They were the opposite. They were starving cows. They were unhealthy cows. And they stood, they stood next to the other cows by the edge of the Nile River. So in his dream now he sees has 2 sets of 7 cows are coming out of the Nile River. And the first 7 are good, healthy cows, great healthy cows that are eating the marshland off the Nile River. And then 7 unhealthy, really unhealthy looking cows come out. And they stand next to each other. And then all of a sudden, to his horror in his dream, he sees the 7 skinny, unhealthy cows, ugly appearance cows, the lean cows, eat up the 7 healthy cows, the good fat cows, and boom, Paro wakes up in his dream. Rashi tells you already what's the indication here in this 7. What does it mean? Why is there 7 cows? We need to understand why is there 7 fat cows, 7 skinny cows. What's the message of the 7 skinny cows eating up the 7 fat cows? And Rashi at least tells us part of the message in the dream, which we're going to learn soon, is that the 7 years of hunger are going to be so bad in the land of Egypt that the 7 years will wipe out any plus that was gained in the 7 years of plenty are going to be such bad 7 years that they're going to be wiped out by the 7 years of plenty. So the 7 skinny cows are eating the 7 fat cows, indicating the loss of what's going to take place. Verse 5, Vayishan, and Paro falls back asleep. He fell asleep again, goes back to bed. Vayachlim Shenis, and he has a second dream. And in the second dream, another dream, different item, similar idea. You have 7 corns, ears of grain, 7 ears of grain were going out of one stalk. And briois v'toives, healthy and good. So you had 7 ears of grain coming out of one stalk of wheat, and there are 7 very good. He sees in his dream that there's 7 good ears of grain. And then what happens next? Similarly to the first dream, 7 ears of grain that are thin and beaten by the eastern wind. There was a wind that would blow strong, and when the wheat keeps on getting smacked by this heavy, strong wind, they look disgusting and beaten. They really don't look healthy. And grow up after the healthy ones. And to his horror in his dream, he sees he sees the thin, unhealthy grain, ears of grain swallow the healthy ones. Paro wakes up, and this is a dream. Rashi says the dream is complete. It gave you all the information that you needed, and now Paro needs to figure out a way to decipher this. He feels as a message to him, and he needs to now decipher what is the message to him. He feels like he got a very clear message, but now it's time for him to figure out what the message is. So Vayiva Baiker, he wakes up in the morning, comes the morning time, come for breakfast, whatever he's doing over there. Vatipaim Ruchai, and his spirit was ringing. He was very troubled, walking around with a big headache. That his spirit was very shaky, very, very troubled. Rashi tells us that we see this story. There's going to be a number of times in history Shem gives the king a dream in order to pass him a message. In the book of Daniel, famous story that the great king, Nebuchadnezzar, who destroyed the temple, will also have a dream. But his dream will be more freaky than this dream because he doesn't know the interpretation to his dream. He won't even remember the dream he had, but he knows that he dreamt a crazy dream, and then he'll force all the scholars in his land, sort of like what's going to happen now by Pharaoh, to not just tell him what the meaning of his dream was, but what he dreamt. Here, Pharaoh knows what he dreamt, but he doesn't know the meaning, and he feels like he got a very clear message, and he needs help figuring out this message, and he's extremely troubled, very, 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 having tremendous anxiety, but he put him from this major message that he's getting, but he doesn't know what it means. Very scary dream. Vayishlach, and he sent Vayikras Kol Chartumei Mitzrayim. He went and he sent all the black magic magicians of Egypt. They must have had a big business over there of people who were into black magic. He says actually, the word Chartumei, referring to these magicians, it means Hanechrim B'timei Mesim. It's people that would arouse with bones the dead. They had some kind of way that they could get a message from the dead. So Pharaoh calls all the Khatumim, he calls all these people who, who deal with these different kinds of magics. And all the scholars. V'yisaper Pari lehem, and Pari tells him as Chalomi, he tells him his dream. He calls everybody to the palace, to his place. And he tells him his dream, the ain paiser oisi lefare, nobody is able to explain the dream to Pharaoh. What do you mean that no one's able to explain? They tried, but Pharaoh's like, come on, you're kidding. This doesn't make sense. And he doesn't like any of their explanations. There's major problems, there's holes in the kind of reasons that these people are trying to give. And Rashi gives us one of the examples. He says one of the examples they told him was you'll have 7 daughters and you'll bury 7 daughters. I don't know if Rashi didn't like the interpretation or he had questions. He doesn't see the exact connection between the two. Why does he need to have maybe 2 dreams? Why is one not enough? Nothing they're telling him is really settling him, and he's very upset. He's very unhappy. The king of Egypt is extremely unhappy, and he wants to know what the meaning of the dream is. So finally, Veidaber Sarah Mashkim, the bartender, remember? Bartender finally remembers what Yosef happened with him in jail. Leimar es chatasai, so he tells Paroi, as chatai and he maskirayim. He says, I need to mention to you the great sin I did. Who wants to bring up the guy was thrown in jail for a year by the king, who he definitely does not want to bring that up. So he says, I got to tell you my sin. I have to mention my sin from a long time ago, from a year ago when I was let out of jail. Pari Katzav Alavadav, do you remember 2 years ago, or whatever it was? Pari got angry at our servants. And if you remember, he locked me up in the jail. I was put in the dungeon of the butchers that was manned and overseen by the butcher. Me and the person in charge of the bakery. Remember, the 2 of us did something wrong. It was major news, and you locked both of us up. So I think it was 2 years ago that they were let out. So for 2 years, he says, remember the story happened 2 years ago that you let us back. And a very interesting thing happened to us in jail. One night, we both dreamt a dream. Me and my friend, we didn't dream the same dream. We each dreamt a very different dream. Remember the dream of the 3 baskets of bread and the 3 branches of the vine tree. And there in jail with us was this child, this young Ivri, Jewish kid. He was there with us in jail, kind of like he's using derogatory word describing him to Pharaoh. The Sarah Tabachim, he was a slave of the butcher, and we told this young Jewish kid all our dreams as Chalamei Seinu, Ish Chalamei Pasar, and guess what? Each of us, he told exactly what the meaning to the dreams were. Rashi says this is cursed be the evil, the wicked people, because here Yosef was the one who told him his dream, and here he doesn't say nice things about him to Pharaoh. He says, this Jewish kid doesn't talk our language. He's not like us. He's not appreciative of what Yosef did for him. And he's knocking the Jewish kid as he's telling Pharaoh about him. He says he's a fool. He's a kid. He doesn't even speak our language. And he's a slave, so we can't even be royal. But something weird happened that he was able to interpret our dreams for us. And exactly how he interpreted it for us, exactly what it was. Me, he placed on back of my position, and the other guy was hung. Exactly what the guy says. You, Pharaoh, of course, who was the one who decided who should be appointed, pointing back up and decided he should be killed. Pharaoh hears that in his jail over there, he has rotting away this guy who maybe has the answer to his question. Pharaoh sent him Yosef, and they quickly rushed him out of the pit, out of the dungeon. They shaved him, they changed his clothes. He must have been wearing, whatever prisoners wear, and he looked disheveled probably from his prisoner term. And he came to Pari, and they cleaned him up nicely in order to bring him before Pari, and that's where our story will continue and take place from there. Any questions or comments on today's Chumash? No? Okay. Who's with us? I don't see everybody here with us today.